It started with a vibration. One single buzz at the corner of my desk where my phone was charging, the screen's glow slicing across my room's dark. I should have ignored it, midnight on a school night, but I reached anyway, thumb sliding without thought. New notification, group chat, legends only fire. Not my group chat. That was the first sign something was off. I clicked. At first, it was just chatter, memes, inside jokes I wasn't in on. Then I saw my name. Noah, bro, he's so clueless it's actually funny. Tyler, FR Skull, he thinks we actually like hanging with him. Noah, LMAO, he tells me everything, like I'm his therapist. Dude's pathetic. Noah, my best friend. Since we were 7. The words didn't process all at once, they hit in fragments, like shards of glass cutting deeper the longer I stared. My chest tightened. The air in my room felt thinner, like someone had quietly vacuumed all the oxygen out. Pathetic. Clueless. Funny. My phone slipped from my hand and landed on the blanket, buzzing again with another message. I couldn't look, but my brain already painted the betrayal in high definition. I wanted to laugh. Some twisted part of me thought maybe it was a prank, maybe they dropped it, just kidding, any second now. But no. The thread kept climbing. More messages. My best friend is piling on. And then, something broke. Not in me, but around me. It was a crackle, sharp in my skull. Like someone twisting the dial on an old radio, static bleeding into silence. Then, voices. Layered. Overlapping. Loud, but not with sound. In my head. I clutched the sides of my skull. What the hell? Can't wait for lunch tomorrow, starving already. If he notices my shoes are fake, I'm screwed. Did I leave the oven on? God, I'm an idiot. Random thoughts. Strangers. My neighbors. My classmates. Voices I shouldn't hear. My pulse hammered as the static warped into words, as though my brain had opened some back door it was never meant to. I staggered back from my desk, breathing hard, and the voices dimmed, until one cut through all the rest. A girl's voice. Familiar. Fragile. Right upstairs in this very house. Noah's sister. If he knew how I felt about him, I'd die. Her thought burned like a flare in the static, silencing every other whisper. I froze, skin gone cold. She was talking about me. And I knew, in that one ruined midnight, 2 things with bone-deep certainty. My best friend wasn't my best friend anymore. And his sister had a secret that could destroy us all. The morning after felt like dragging myself through broken glass. Every time I shut my eyes, I saw Noah's name lit up in that group chat. Every word he'd typed replayed like a bad song on loop, pathetic, clueless, funny. Then, layered over it, her voice. His sister. That single thought echoing so clearly it was impossible to mistake. If he knew how I felt about him, I'd die. I kept telling myself I'd imagined it. Some stress-induced dream. Maybe the betrayal had messed with my head. But when I sat up and rubbed my temples, there was still that faint hiss of static under everything, like a radio station just barely out of tune. At school, the hallway hit me like a migraine. Lockers slamming, sneakers squeaking, people shouting, and underneath it all, another layer. A mess of stray voices leaking into my skull. Did I study enough for the quiz? Probably not. God, I hate this shirt. Why did I wear it? He looked at me. Don't smile. Stop smiling. It wasn't voices I could hear with my ears. It was sharper, closer, like thoughts were piercing straight into me. Each one left a residue, an aftertaste. By the time I reached first period, I wanted to rip my brain out and dunk it in ice water. Then she walked in. Emma. Noah's sister. She slid into the desk in front of me, the scent of her shampoo catching in the air. I forced myself to stare at my notebook, pen gripped tight. My chest already knew what my brain refused to admit. If it happened again, if I heard her thoughts again, there'd be no denying it. And then, like a whisper just for me. Don't turn around. If he sees me blush, it's over. God, why do I always think of him when he's this close? My heart slammed so hard I thought she'd hear it. I bent lower over the page, pretending to write while my pulse pounded through my hand. Emma shifted in her chair, silent, perfectly composed. Her voice hadn't moved. Only her thoughts had. Raw. Vulnerable. Directed at me. I wanted to disappear. Or maybe I wanted to answer her, just once, and see what would happen if the truth came out of someone's mouth instead of hiding in their head. But then Noah slid into the seat beside me, knocking his backpack down like nothing in the world was wrong. Yo, he said, casual as ever. You good? Good. Was I good? Images of his late-night messages slammed against my skull. Him calling me pathetic. Him laughing at me to people I barely knew. I forced a smile. Yeah. Tired. Stayed up too late. Same, Noah said, grinning. Like we were still us. Like he hadn't gutted me 12 hours ago through a phone screen. The period dragged on. Every laugh from him felt heavier than it used to, every nudge sharper. I clung to it anyway, desperate for some version of the friend I thought I still had. But when lunch came, I found myself sitting alone at the corner table, scrolling my phone just to keep my hands from shaking. Notifications stacked up. My stomach knotted when I saw his name light up the screen. Noah, don't trust him. He's pathetic. My lungs locked. I wasn't supposed to see that. And for the second time in 24 hours, I realized my best friend had meant those words exactly the way they looked. By third period, the words on my phone screen from last night still burned into me. Don't trust him. He's pathetic. Noah's words. My best friend. My so-called brother in everything but blood. I told myself a dozen excuses. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe he was talking about someone else. Maybe I was paranoid. But when he dropped into the seat across from me in the cafeteria, grinning like nothing had ever cracked between us, I couldn't swallow it anymore. I set my tray down, trying to sound casual. Hey. Got a weird message from you last night. Noah looked up mid-bite of his sandwich. Yeah. It said. Don't trust him. He's pathetic. My voice came out flatter than I wanted. For a second, just a split second, his eyes froze. Then he barked a laugh, loud enough to draw glances. Oh my God, dude. You actually thought that was about you? My stomach flipped. Well, it had my name on it. Relax, he cut in, shaking his head. Inside joke. Tyler was messing around, and I typed that without thinking. You're too sensitive, man. Classic you. Gaslight. The word scraped across my brain even as he smirked like this was all beneath him. I stared at him, waiting for some flicker of honesty, but all I saw was confidence, like he'd rehearsed this. And maybe I would have let it slide, if not for the way Emma walked past just then. Her presence was like static spiking in my skull. I didn't mean to watch her, but my eyes followed anyway, her hair falling loose over her shoulder, her lips pressed tight as if holding back a smile. And then her voice. Not out loud. In me. Don't look at him too long. He'll know. God, why does he always catch my eyes? Why can't I stop? My throat tightened. I tore my gaze down to my tray, pretending to poke at the fries. But the echo lingered, her longing pulling like a thread wound around my ribs. When I risked another glance, Emma had sat down across the room. Our eyes met for half a second, and her thought cracked through me again. If he only knew. If I could just tell him. I looked away so fast my neck popped. Noah was watching me now, suspicion flickering under his grin. Why are you staring at my sister? He asked, half teasing, half serious. My fork nearly slipped from my fingers. Wasn't. Just zoning out. He snorted and went back to his sandwich. I forced a laugh to match, but the air between us had shifted. Every word from his mouth was a lie. Every thought from hers was a confession. And then, her voice again, sharper this time, knifing into my head with brutal clarity. I'll never let him know. My brother would kill us both. The fry in my hand dropped to the tray. My heart stopped, then raced so hard it hurt. Because she wasn't wrong. Noah would. By the time I stepped into school, I knew something was off. The air was too heavy, like the moment before a storm. People's eyes slid toward me and away again, fast, like I'd grown another head. A few smirked. Others whispered. The pit in my stomach told me everything before I even pulled out my phone. Notifications stacked up on the lock screen. New message, group chat, Hall of Fame skull. New message, Hall of Fame skull. New message, Hall of Fame skull. I clicked before I could stop myself. Screenshots. From Legends Only. The group chat I was never meant to see. But these weren't Noah's words this time. Not directly. They were fragments, stitched together, embarrassing, half-true rumors about me. Things I had said once, pulled out of context, twisted into something uglier. He told me he still sleeps with the light on. Bro really cried over a D on a math test. Didn't he say he's never kissed anyone? I stared at the glowing screen as my throat dried. Every word was a knife. Not all lies. Not all truth. Just enough facts to make me look like the joke they wanted. Laughter echoed across the hall. Not loud, not to my ears. But inside my skull. What a loser. He actually believed Noah was his friend. Pathetic. Can't even defend himself. The static was louder today. Sharper. Thoughts leaked into me from every direction, slicing like glass shards. I wanted to shut it out, but the harder I tried, the clearer it got. And beneath the cruelty were other things, darker things. If anyone finds out what I did at that party, I'm screwed. God, I hope nobody notices my wrists. If my mom calls again, I swear I'll run away. Everyone's unfiltered truths. Ugly, raw, terrifying. Things they'd never say out loud. It pressed into me until I felt like I couldn't breathe. I ducked into class and slid into my seat, gripping the desk like an anchor. And then Emma walked in. The storm in my head shifted instantly. Her voice cut clean through the noise, uninvited but undeniable. He looks tired. He hasn't been sleeping. I wish I could ask what's wrong. I stared at the wood grain of my desk, knuckles white, because if I looked at her, if I even risked it, Noah might notice. Her thoughts pressed again, soft, guilty, so close it felt like she was whispering into my chest instead of my head. Why do I care so much? Why can't I stop? I swallowed hard. The room spun. Noah slid into the chair beside me, tossing his bag down. He looked like he owned the place, like none of this had touched him. Maybe it hadn't. Maybe it never would. I kept my face blank, my pen moving, pretending I wasn't unraveling inside. And then, her thoughts shifted, darker than before. Heavy enough to still the storm around it. If my brother knew what I did last night, he'd never forgive me. The pen dropped from my fingers. My whole body went cold. What had she done? And why did I suddenly feel like I wasn't supposed to know? I told myself I didn't have to go. I could have made an excuse, said I was sick, buried myself in homework at home. But when Noah texted, study session at mine, bring the notes, something in me still obeyed. Like the part of me that didn't want to let go, even while everything inside screamed I already had. So I ended up at his house. Again. His room was the same as always, messy bed, half-empty cans on the desk, the faint smell of cologne trying to cover up sweat. We dumped our books down, and almost immediately he said, I'm starving. Be right back, before vanishing toward the kitchen. Which left me with her. Emma. She lingered in the doorway for a moment before crossing the room, sliding into the chair right next to mine. The air tightened, like the walls had shifted an inch closer. Math, right? She asked, voice steady. Normal. But her mind wasn't. Don't sit too close. He'll notice. God, but I want to. Just for a second. The static in my head surged. I kept my eyes on the textbook, tracing numbers I couldn't even see. Yeah, I managed. My throat felt tight. Math. She leaned closer, pointing at a problem on the page. You did this wrong. You carried the one twice. Her voice was calm, casual. But her thoughts were louder, slipping through me like a current. His hands are shaking. Does he know it's because of me? Stop staring at his lips. Stop. Stop. I gripped my pencil so hard it nearly snapped. Right. Thanks, I muttered, correcting the problem. She smiled faintly. No problem. Say something. Anything. If you don't, you'll explode. But if you do, you'll ruin everything. I dared a glance at her. The way her lips curved didn't match the way her thoughts trembled. I wanted to ask her if she meant it, if I was hearing her right, but the fear of Noah's shadow kept me frozen. Her hand brushed the edge of my paper. Not on purpose, maybe, but enough that I felt the warmth of her skin. Enough that her thoughts spiked, desperate and unguarded. Please, just once. Just once let me touch him. No, stop. He can't know. My brother can never know. I swallowed hard, dragging my gaze back to the numbers, pretending my whole body wasn't burning. Then, just as the silence stretched too long, footsteps pounded back up the stairs. Noah's voice, careless, getting closer. Emma's thoughts crashed like glass. Please don't notice. Please don't notice. Please don't notice. The door swung open, Noah barging in with a bag of chips in hand. And I was left sitting there, Emma's panic still ringing in my skull, trying not to look like my entire world had just been rewritten. The worst conversations never happen face to face. They happen in glowing rectangles at midnight, when you're too tired to defend yourself and too wired to log off. My phone lit up on the nightstand, vibrating against a half-empty water bottle. I groaned, rolled over, and squinted at the screen. Group chat, Squad Eagle Fire. Noah, you guys wouldn't believe what I know about him lol. Ryan, spill eyes. Noah, nah can't. Too good. You'll see soon. Ava, ugh stop being cryptic. What is it? Noah, just, not who you think he is winking face. My stomach dropped. At first, I thought maybe it wasn't about me. Maybe he was stirring up drama about someone else. But then the dots connected, sharp and obvious, he meant me. I scrolled up, rereading it 3 times, as if the meaning would magically change. But it didn't. It just sat there, neon and smug. I typed something. What are you talking about? Then deleted it. Typing again, you're full of shit, deleted. My fingers hovered uselessly, trembling with the weight of words I couldn't send. They kept joking in the chat, spamming memes, reacting with laughing emojis, and I sat there like a ghost, silent, watching the ground split under me. Noah was baiting me, daring me to flinch. I tried to sleep, but the messages bled into my dreams. Static first, like the hiss of a broken TV. Then voices. Sharp, jagged, overlapping until they pressed against my skull. Noah's laugh, cruel and easy, pathetic. He actually thinks we're friends. Emma's whisper, soft and trembling, don't look at him too long, or someone will notice. Ryan's mocking snicker, what a loser. Emma again, closer this time, but I love him anyway. I bolted upright, chest heaving. My sheets clung to me, damp with sweat. The red glow of 2:37 a.m. on my alarm clock blurred in my vision. It was just a dream, I told myself. Just my brain replaying every fear I've tried to bury. Except the static didn't fade. It crackled at the edges of the room, whispering, teasing. I pressed my palms to my ears. Nothing changed. The phone buzzed again. I nearly jumped out of my skin. Emma's name glowed on the screen. I stared at it, frozen. Midnight calls weren't her thing. Hell, calls at all weren't her thing. She was a safe behind the screen type. My thumb slid across before my brain could catch up. Hello. My voice cracked, raw. Silence. Emma. The faint hiss of the line. No words. Just breathing, light, shaky. And then, through the static in my head, her voice wasn't spoken but thought. Clearer than any dream. My blood ran cold. I sat there, mouth open, as if she'd said it out loud. But she hadn't. She couldn't have. The line clicked dead. I stared at the screen, her name still burned into it, the call ended. The static in my head pulsed one last time, echoing her thought, her whisper of my name, before fading into silence. And I knew, this wasn't just me anymore. She was part of it too. There are some silences you can handle. Like the kind when you're walking home alone, earbuds in, pretending the streetlights are stars. And then there are the other silences. The kind when you're trapped in a room with someone who won't say what you know they're thinking. That's what it felt like with Emma. It wasn't planned. I'd gone over to Noah's house to pick up a notebook I left behind, bracing myself for whatever passive-aggressive comment he'd throw my way. But his mom answered the door, smiled, tired and polite. Oh, honey, Noah's not home yet. But Emma's upstairs, you can grab what you need. I should have left. I should have said I'd come back later. But my feet moved on their own, carrying me up the stairs to Noah's room, where Emma sat cross-legged on his desk chair, flipping through a book. She looked up, startled, then smiled that small, careful smile of hers. Hey, hey. My voice felt too loud, too clumsy. Her words after that were normal, safe. We talked about schoolwork, how her mom kept rearranging the kitchen, whether or not she should cut her hair shorter. Nothing dangerous. But her thoughts, God, her thoughts weren't safe at all. Don't stare too long. He'll notice. He always notices. If he just knew how much I wanted to touch him. Stop. Stop thinking like that. He can't know. I shifted in the doorway, every muscle in my body stiff with effort. My brain screamed act normal while her mind screamed the opposite. You saw Noah's blue notebook? I asked, just to anchor myself. She spun in the chair, tugging open a drawer. This one? Her voice was casual, but her thoughts slipped out with the same motion, like a cut she couldn't bandage fast enough. If I hand this to him, our fingers will touch. Please let them touch. I hesitated before taking it, my hand shaking as I brushed against hers. Just the faintest graze of skin. Her heart leapt in her thoughts. Oh God. He felt it. He had to feel it. I cleared my throat, clutching the notebook like a shield. Thanks. No problem. Her voice was clipped, short, as if nothing had happened at all. But her mind? Her mind was a storm I couldn't unhear. By the time I left, I couldn't decide which was worse, knowing too much, or pretending I didn't. The next day at school, Noah turned the screws tighter. It wasn't obvious, he was too good at it for that. It was in the little things, the way he joked about how long I took to answer texts, how he laughed and told Ava, yeah, he kinda gets clingy sometimes. You'll see. Tiny cuts. Always smiling when he did it, always with just enough truth mixed in to stick. And people believed him. I could hear it in their heads. Is he really that needy? He does follow Noah around a lot. Maybe he's not as cool as I thought. I wanted to scream. To shake them all and yell, don't you see what he's doing? But from the outside, it just looked like friendly banter. A best friend teasing another. Except it wasn't friendly. And he wasn't my friend. The breaking point came in the hallway, between second and third period. Noah clapped a hand on my shoulder, spinning me half around, his grin too sharp. Hey, man. Are you good? You look tired. I opened my mouth to say something, anything, but then it hit. Not static this time. Not whispers. His thoughts cut through clean, jagged and hot like barbed wire. If he ever touches her, I'll ruin him. My blood went cold. I stared at him, trying not to flinch, trying not to show that I knew. His grin never slipped, but behind his eyes, behind that mask, the truth screamed loud enough to drown out everything else. There's a kind of silence that doesn't mean peace. It means war is about to start. That's how the group chat felt when I opened my phone that morning, quiet for too long, like everyone holding their breath. Then I saw it. A screenshot. It was my DM. The one I sent Ava 2 weeks ago when I was spiraling after Noah had ditched me at the mall. It wasn't anything terrible, just me venting late at night. Sometimes I feel like everyone would be better off without me around. Not funny. Not ironic. Just raw. And now it was plastered across the chat. Screenshot. Sometimes I feel like everyone would be better off without me around. Noah, LOL chill bro. Maya, wait, what? Is this real? Liam, yo that's Dark Skull. Ava, I didn't send this. My stomach flipped so hard I almost dropped my phone. The replies piled up. Teasing. Awkward emojis. A couple of, are you okay, messages that felt more like pity than concern. And through it all, Noah stayed calm, sprinkling in little laughs and fake reassurances. Noah, he's just dramatic sometimes, don't worry face with tears of joy. Noah, all good right bro? He was baiting me. I could see the trap laid bare. If I got angry, I'd look guilty. If I laughed along, I'd look pathetic. I stared at the screen until the letters blurred. My throat burned, my hands numb. That's when I felt it, static. The buzz in my skull meant I wasn't alone in my own head anymore. Noah's voice, slippery and smug, hook, line, sinker. Everyone sees him as weak now. Exactly where I want him. I almost threw the phone. At school, it was worse. People looked at me differently. Not openly cruel, but sideways glances, whispered, you see the chat, in corners, a little too much silence when I walked into class. I couldn't hear every thought, but the ones that slipped through stung like nettles. Poor guy. Do you think he's depressed? Maybe Noah's right, he's kinda unstable. Don't sit next to him, it'll be awkward. I kept my head down, the weight of everyone's invisible words pressing into my shoulders. And then Emma sat beside me. She didn't say anything at first, just slid into the seat like it was the most natural thing in the world. Out loud she asked about homework, if I'd done the history reading. But her mind wasn't quiet. He doesn't deserve this. Not from them. Not from my brother. I should say something. I should stand up for him. If only he knew how much I swallowed hard, answering her questions in clipped syllables, afraid if I looked at her too long I'd betray what I knew. Her defense in the chat earlier had been small but real, just one line. Emma, this isn't funny. Stop. It hadn't stopped anyone. But I'd noticed. And so had Noah. I caught him watching us from across the cafeteria, a smirk plastered on his face, his thoughts flickering like sparks, she's getting too close. Need to fix that. By the time I got home, I felt hollow. Like my body was moving on fumes, my head was stuffed with echoes I couldn't sort out. I lay in bed that night, phone face down beside me, afraid to open it, afraid to see what fresh fire Noah had lit. The shadows on the ceiling stretched like they were waiting for me to crack. And then, buzz. A call. Her name lit up the screen. Emma. I stared, heartbeat stuttering. Answered. Hello. My voice was rough, more whisper than word. No reply. Just silence. And then, clear as if she'd whispered it against my ear, her thought slid into me, tender, trembling. Ethan Cole, please hold on. Please. My breath caught. She hung up. The line went dead, but her voice, her unspoken voice, kept echoing in my skull. And then one last burst, sharp and desperate, like it had been pulled from her chest and shoved into mine. If this keeps going, I'll tell him the truth myself. Parties always smell the same, cheap alcohol, sweat, and the sour tang of soda spilled across tile floors. Even before I stepped inside, I could hear the bass rattling the walls. My stomach clenched like I was walking into enemy territory. Noah had insisted I come. Don't be a hermit, man. You'll thank me later. His grin had been too wide, too sharp. I didn't trust it, but saying no would have made me look weaker. Inside, the light strobed and shadows moved like they were alive. Conversations crashed over each other, laughter too loud, every corner buzzing with people trying to look like they belonged. I didn't. Then I saw her. Emma. Not in her usual quiet jeans and sweater, but something different, lighter, sharper. A dress that caught the lights when she moved, her hair loose around her shoulders. For a second, I thought maybe the static in my head was just the music. Then her thoughts hit me, clear as lightning. He's here. Don't look too fast. Don't let him know what you're thinking. God, why does he make my chest hurt just by standing there? I nearly forgot how to breathe. I tried to melt into the background, sipping a soda I didn't want. But she found me. She always did. Hey, she said, sliding beside me like it was nothing. Didn't think you'd show up. Her smile was casual, but her mind was frantic. Say something normal. Don't scare him off. Don't blurt it out. I forced a laugh. Noah dragged me. You. My friends wanted to come. She glanced toward a group near the kitchen, then back at me. Her eyes lingered too long. We ended up in the quieter corner of the living room, away from the crowd. She was talking about school, about finals, about anything ordinary, but her thoughts didn't match. He looks tired. He looks hurt. I want to tell him I'd never laugh at him. I want to tell him he's not alone. I clenched the soda can so hard it dented. Then it happened. Her lips moved, her voice soft. I just wish you knew. She froze, eyes wide. Knew what? Her mind screamed it, deafening, that I love you. I must have gone pale. I grabbed her wrist, gentle but desperate. Come with me. We slipped past the crowd, into the backyard where the music was muffled. The air was cold, biting. She yanked her hand back, cheeks flushed. What was that about? She asked. I shook my head, heart pounding. Nothing. You almost, someone could have. Her mind pressed against mine like a knife's edge. He's scared. Of me. Of this. But I can't stop. I didn't know what to say. Every word felt like stepping onto glass. That's when I felt a hand on my shoulder. I turned, and there was Noah. No drunk grin, no lazy jokes. Just eyes sharp enough to cut through me. He leaned close so only I could hear. His breath reeked of beer. I know you're hiding something. His voice was low, steady. The kind of voice that made you believe him. And in the back of my skull, for the first time, I caught the faintest trace of his thought, raw, dangerous. And I'm going to find out what. The night didn't end in the backyard. It should have. I should have walked home and left it all behind, but Noah had that look in his eye, the one that said he wasn't finished with me. By the time I stepped back into the house, he was already at the center of the living room, beer in hand, a crowd circling him like planets around a sun. And of course, he saw me immediately. There he is. Noah's grin was wide, sharp. My boy. My ride or die. People cheered half-heartedly, thinking it was just banter. But then he started. You know, Noah said, loud enough for the whole room, this guy once cried over a math test. Like, full tears. Over fractions. Laughter erupted. My face burned. That's not, I started, but he cut me off. And remember that time you asked out Marissa? Dude rehearsed it in front of a mirror. 4 days. And still got rejected. More laughter. My stomach knotted. Only he would have known that. Only a best friend would have been there for those moments. And now he was weaponizing them. Emma stood off to the side, eyes locked on me. Her lips pressed tight, but her thoughts screamed through the noise. Don't listen. You're better than this. Please don't let him break you. Noah clapped me on the shoulder, almost knocking the drink out of my hand. What's the matter, man? Can't take a joke. Lighten up. Something inside me snapped. I shoved his hand away. You think this is funny? You think humiliating me makes you look good? The room went quiet. People weren't laughing anymore. They were watching. Noah's smirk deepened. Hey, if you can't handle the truth. That's not the truth, I spat. My voice cracked, but I didn't care. You're just a coward. A snake. You hide behind jokes because you've got nothing else. The silence after that was suffocating. Noah's jaw tightened, but his smile never wavered. Careful, man. You're starting to sound ungrateful. After everything I've done for you. Gasps rippled through the crowd. He dropped the mask, just for a second. Enough for everyone to hear the venom beneath. Emma's thoughts hammered at me like thunder. I can't stand this. I can't let him do this to you. I love you. God, I love you. I turned toward her instinctively, and for a terrifying moment, I thought she'd actually said it out loud. Her lips were parted, eyes glassy with unshed tears. But no sound had left her mouth. Only her mind had screamed it. Noah followed my gaze. His eyes narrowed, flicking between me and his sister. And that's when her final thought of the night cut through every laugh, every breath, every beat of the music still thudding faintly in the background. I'd choose him over my own brother. The world seemed to tilt. The fallout from the party was worse than I'd imagined. By Monday, it wasn't just whispers behind my back, it was the silences that killed me. People stopped mid-conversation when I walked into a room, eyes flicking to Noah for a cue on how to react. And Noah, God, he played it perfectly. Smiling at me like nothing had happened, wrapping an arm around me in the hallway, cracking jokes, as if I hadn't called him a coward in front of half the school. The worst part? People believed him. I sat in math class, head down, pretending to take notes while the buzz of thoughts swirled around me like gnats. Guess he had a breakdown. Noah says he's jealous. Can't believe I wasted time hanging out with him. Every thought was a knife. Then my phone buzzed. At first, I thought it was just another group chat notification, another meme at my expense, but no. It was a DM, anonymous account. No profile picture. 3 words. I'm sorry. I stared at the screen, pulse quickening. I didn't need to guess. I knew who it was. Over the next few days, more came. Short, cryptic lines that meant nothing to anyone else but cut straight through me. He doesn't speak for me. I saw the way you looked at me. You're not alone. I never replied. I couldn't. The risk was too big. But I read every word like scripture. Of course, Noah noticed. He cornered me outside the cafeteria, slapping a hand on my shoulder like we were still best friends. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Hey, man, he said, voice syrupy smooth. You've been quiet lately. People are starting to think you hate me. I laughed once, sharp, bitter. Gee, I wonder why. His grip tightened. Come on. Don't be like that. We've been through everything together. Middle school, late night cramming, your first crush. You're really gonna throw that away over one bad night? One bad night? My voice rose before I could stop it. You humiliated me in front of everyone. You've been humiliating me for weeks. Noah's eyes flickered, just for a second, before he put the mask back on. People laugh because they love you. You just don't get it. But I've got your back. I always have. And then, softer, deadlier, don't forget who stood by you when nobody else did. It was a guilt trip dressed up as loyalty, a dagger wrapped in velvet. And for a terrifying second, I almost let myself believe him. Almost. That night, I sat on my bed, phone glowing in the dark. Another message had come. He doesn't own you. I didn't reply. I just stared at it until the words blurred. And then the static came. Sharp, sudden, flooding my skull until I clenched the sheets to steady myself. Emma's voice pushed through, unspoken but undeniable. Meet me tonight. Alone. The phone slipped from my hand. I must have stared at her thought for an hour, the words seared into me like a brand. Meet me tonight. Alone. It wasn't a text this time. It was raw, unfiltered, echoing in my skull the way only her mind could reach me. And it left me shaking. I told myself not to go. That it was too dangerous, too stupid, too wrong. That Noah would sense it, or worse, catch us. But when the time came, my feet moved anyway, dragging me out into the night like I was possessed. We met behind the school, where the parking lot lights didn't reach. The silence was heavy, the kind that presses against your skin. She was already there, hugging her arms against the chill, her hair pulled back like she'd run to beat me. When she saw me, relief crossed her face. But she didn't speak. She didn't have to. Her thoughts hit me in a rush. He came. He actually came. God, what do I do now? I swallowed hard, forcing words past the knot in my throat. Why me? Why now? She shook her head, eyes glassy. Out loud, she only managed, I couldn't. But in her mind, the words were unchained. Because I can't stand watching him tear you apart anymore. Because I've loved you for so long it hurts. Because if I don't say it now, I'll never survive. I took a step closer, the gravel crunching beneath my shoes. Her breath caught, not in fear, but something else. Her body was rigid, like if I touched her, she'd shatter. Emma, I whispered, her name tasting like guilt. Her thoughts trembled, don't stop. Don't walk away. Just once, let me be selfish. Every nerve in me screamed to close the distance, to let go of all the rules, all the loyalty, all the lies. But Noah's face hovered in my mind, the friend who once swore we'd always have each other's backs. His betrayal burned, but was I about to return it in kind? I clenched my fists. This isn't fair, I said, voice breaking. She flinched. I know. But her mind didn't stop. I don't care. I'd burn everything if it meant one moment with him. The air between us was alive, vibrating with everything unsaid. My pulse thundered, her breathing quickened, and for one impossible second, I thought the world would tilt and we'd both fall into it. Then my phone buzzed. The screen lit up with Noah's name. I answered before I could think, the blood draining from my face. Where are you? His voice was sharp, suspicious. Then quieter, edged with steel, don't lie. And the silence around me cracked wide open. I didn't sleep after Noah's call. His words kept looping in my head, don't lie. The way he said it, like he already knew, like he'd been watching. By morning, my phone buzzed non-stop. Notifications stacked, one after another, until my stomach dropped. Noah had posted something in the group chat. Not just a message, a picture. It was a blurry screenshot of me and Emma from last night, standing too close under the streetlight behind school. My face turned toward hers, hers tilted up toward mine. It wasn't incriminating on its own, but Noah captioned it with venom. Some friends don't know boundaries. Guess I found out the hard way. Within minutes, the comments rolled in. Wait, is that Emma? Bro, your best friend? That's cold. I felt the blood drain from my face as I scrolled, every word slicing deeper. My pulse hammered in my ears. Noah hadn't just betrayed me this time, he'd declared war. When I walked into school, the whispers were already waiting. Eyes followed me down the hall, snickers, judgment, pity, it all blurred together. I kept my head down, pretending the ground might swallow me whole. Then I heard her voice. Emma. She stood at the end of the hall, facing Noah. She wasn't shouting, but her voice carried, steady, clear. That's enough. The hallway fell quiet. Noah turned, his expression dark, but Emma didn't flinch. You don't get to humiliate him like that. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. She had never once spoken up in front of him. Not like this. Her thoughts were usually the only place her loyalty lived. But here it was, out loud, for everyone to hear. Noah's jaw tightened. So it's true, he said, low and dangerous. His eyes cut to me, then back to her. You've been sneaking around with him? Emma shook her head fiercely. It's not like that. But her mind betrayed her. It is. God, it is. I can't lie anymore. Noah's face hardened, something breaking in him. He stormed toward me, grabbed my arm, and yanked me aside, shoving me against the lockers where the crowd couldn't hear. You think you're clever? His voice was a growl, barely restrained. Sneaking around with my sister. Laughing behind my back. After everything I've done for you. I tried to speak, but my throat was raw. Noah, it's not. Don't. His grip tightened, knuckles white. Don't feed me your lies. I see it in your face. I hear it in hers. His eyes burned into me. You betrayed me. My chest ached with words I couldn't find. I wanted to scream that he'd betrayed me first, that he was the one who mocked me, framed me, destroyed me piece by piece. But nothing came out. Instead, he leaned in, close enough that I felt his breath on my ear. You don't deserve either of us, he whispered, cold and final. You're dead to me. Noah's words, you're dead to me, still rang in my ears the next morning. They followed me through the halls, through the static in my mind, like a curse branded on my skin. For the first time since we were kids, I didn't feel tethered to him anymore. The string had snapped. He cornered me by the lockers anyway. His face was twisted, not with sadness but with rage. "So this is it," he spat. "After everything, you're just going to walk away." I looked at him, really looked. At the boy I'd once trusted more than anyone. The one who knew every secret handshake, every childhood scar, every stupid dream. All I saw now was poison. "I'm done," I said quietly. My voice didn't shake this time. He laughed, sharp, ugly. "You think you're better than me? You think you can take my sister, my friends, my life? I don't want your life, Noah." My words cut sharper than I meant them to. "I just don't want you in mine anymore." For once, he had nothing to say. His mouth opened, then closed. He turned away, fists clenched, jaw trembling. That was it. The end. But it wasn't Noah's face I carried with me when I walked out of school, it was Emma's. She waited for me by the gates, her expression unreadable. When I met her eyes, the noise in my head returned, only this time, it wasn't a jumble. It was raw, steady, heartbreakingly clear. "Please don't hate me for this. Please don't leave me too. God, I wish I could say it out loud." I swallowed hard. "Emma." She shook her head, eyes shining. "Don't," she whispered, though her thoughts were screaming the opposite. "Stay. Hold me. Choose me." But I couldn't. Not with Noah. Not with the wreckage between us. Not with everything twisted around us like barbed wire. "I can't," I said softly. The words tasted like ash. "Not like this." Her breath hitched, and for a moment, I thought she'd break. But she just nodded, lips pressed tight, and stepped back. I turned away. Every step felt heavier than the last, the silence between us stretching like an endless tunnel. And then, her voice wasn't there. But her mind was. Clearer than ever. Shattering me in one blow. "I love you." I froze, my back to her, my hands trembling. But I didn't turn around. I kept walking, carrying her secret with me, letting it echo in the hollow she'd carved into my chest.